Bonjour et bienvenue à ce point de presse de Québec solidaire. Prenons la parole Mme Manon Massé, M. Alexandre Leduc et le Chief Lance Heyman.
Oui, bonjour tout le monde. Merci d'être là. Comme vous le voyez aujourd'hui, je suis accompagné du Chief Heyman et de mon collègue Alexandre Leduc parce que hier, pas plus tard qu'hier, j'ai envoyé une lettre et au premier ministre du Québec et au ministre de l'Environnement pour leur demander explicitement de se prononcer sur le dossier du dépotoir de pollution nucléaire que représente Chalk River. Et je leur ai demandé de prendre position contre, parce que le Québec est en danger. Je vais laisser Chef Hyman vous le présenter, parce que lui, c'est un porteur, un leader, quelqu'un qui, depuis plusieurs mois, voire années, essaie d'amener le gouvernement canadien à reculer sur sa décision. Et nous, notre attente, c'est que le gouvernement du Québec somme le gouvernement canadien de reculer. Chef Hyman, j'ai oublié de le dire, de la nation Québécois. Je suis vraiment désolé. Chef Hyman.
Thank you very much, and appreciate the opportunity to be able to say a few words today. So, good afternoon, bonjour. My name is Lance Heyman. I'm the chief of the Algonquin community of Quebec, and today I stand before you in partnership with the Québec solidaire, the Parti québécois, whose support for our cause has been unwavering. We're gathered here because of the fate of our lands, our waters, and the future of our communities is at a crossroads. Quebec First Nation has been at the forefront of resisting the proposed near-surface disposal facility, a dangerous nuclear waste site proposed by the Canadian Nuclear Laboratories on the unceded lands of the Algonquin Anishinaabe people near the Ottawa River. This project has sparked widespread opposition from Indigenous nations, environmental organizations, and municipalities across Quebec and Ontario. It poses significant risks to our health, the environment, biodiversity, and we will continue to fight against it in all available arenas. In January and February of 2024, I had the first opportunity to meet with Minister Charette and Lafrenière to express our deep concerns about this project. We have been advocating tirelessly to make sure our voices are heard. We've written letters, launched a fundraising campaign to support our legal challenge, and have filed 3 judicial reviews against this project, some in collaboration with other environmental groups, the Canadian Nuclear Coalition, and the Sierra Club Foundation. We are committed to challenging this decision at every level, and we will not stop until we have justice for our people and our lands. We're still waiting for the decisions in the judicial reviews, but barring a negative decision, in all likelihood, we will appeal to the next level of court, and I'm sure that if the decision is rendered in our favor, Canada will also appeal the decision. One of our legal challenges is grounded in the fact that the Canadian Nuclear Safety Commission approved this project without obtaining the free, prior, and informed consent of the Algonquin Anishinaabe people, including Quebec First Nation. This is a violation of our rights under the United Nations Declaration of the Rights of Indigenous People and the Canadian Constitution. For us, this is not just about a project, this is about upholding the principles of respect, justice, sovereignty, that should be the foundation of every decision made by the Canadian government. The support we have received from over 140 municipalities and from political organizations such as the Bloc Québécois, and I want to give a shout out to Jean-François Blanchette and Sébastien Lemire, who at the federal level has been doing the same great work that the Québec solidaire and the Parti québécois are doing here in the province. They've been a strong advocate for Canada to do better. We have also the support of 20 environmental organizations and is a testament to the strength of our movement. You understand that this is not just a matter of environmental protection, but a matter of human rights, safety, Indigenous rights, and accountability for our future generations. You know, we should not be supporting projects that leave a mess for our future generations to take care of when we can solve that problem today. The risks are staggering. Should contamination occur, harmful isotopes like tritium, cesium-137, and other dangerous isotopes could enter the Ottawa River, impacting the health and livelihood of countless people. Beyond that, the project threatens local biodiversity, bear dens, the eastern wolf, and numerous species at risk. This site is a biodiversity hotspot, and the proposed project would clear-cut old-growth forests, damage ecosystems that have been home to endangered species, like the Blandings turtle, the Canadian wobbler, and many species of bats. We must act now to ensure the future generations will not suffer the consequences of a poor decision made recklessly today. The Quebec government has a responsibility to stand with us in this fight. It is not enough to remain silent on this issue. The people of Quebec and Ontario, including over 140 municipalities, including Gatineau and Montreal, have spoken. This project must not go forward. We also call on the Quebec government must take a stand on the health and safety of its citizens for the protection of its natural resources. Le gouvernement du Québec doit prendre position pour la santé et la sécurité de ses citoyens, ainsi que pour la protection de ses ressources naturelles. We also call on Quebec to advocate for stricter regulations when it comes to nuclear waste management. The lack of transparency in Canadian Nuclear Laboratories' application about the origin, quantity, and characteristics of the waste, a requirement under Canadian law, undermines public trust. We are here today to ask the Quebec government to, number one, publicly demand a halt to the NSDF project and demand the federal government to re-examine its approval with appropriate and proper consultation, amplify the voices of over 140 municipalities that have formally opposed this project, and ensure their concerns are addressed in the National Assembly. Nous sommes ici aujourd'hui pour demander au gouvernement du Québec d'exiger publiquement au gouvernement fédéral d'arrêter le projet afin qu'il en revoie l'approbation avec une consultation adéquate. Quebec's leadership is essential. The federal government cannot move forward with this project without a thorough re-examination considering the impacts on the environment, public health, and more importantly, on our Indigenous rights. We need Quebec to act. We need Quebec to stand with us. We are not just fighting for Quebec. We are fighting for every community that relies on the Ottawa River, for every species that calls this land home, and for the future generation that deserves a world free from the dangers of mismanaged nuclear waste. We will continue this fight and we will not back down. Non aux déchets nucléaires près de nos courses d'eau. Miigwech, merci, thank you very much.
On va terminer avec M. Leduc.
Moi, ce que j'en vois devant nous, c'est quelque chose d'assez impressionnant. Plusieurs partis politiques, provinciaux fédéraux, qui sont inquiets. 140 municipalités, des dizaines et des dizaines de municipalités qui sont inquiètes. Des nations, des Premières Nations autochtones qui sont inquiètes. En politique, ça s'appelle un consensus québécois. Qu'est-ce que fait le gouvernement du Québec à ne pas reconnaître ce consensus-là québécois et à ne pas le mettre en valeur, à ne pas le défendre auprès du gouvernement canadien? On le connaît, le gouvernement de la CAQ, toujours prêt à expliquer ce qui ne va pas bien au Québec sur le dos du gouvernement fédéral. Des fois, il a raison. Cela dit, là, ça serait bien qu'il confronte le gouvernement fédéral, qu'il s'exprime le gouvernement du Québec. Son silence, je ne comprends pas ce qui se passe. C'est un consensus en ce moment au Québec qui se construit contre ce projet-là. Il faut que le gouvernement du Québec s'exprime. Il faut qu'il soit du bon bord de l'histoire. On devrait faire ce point de presse-là avec Benoît Charette, le ministre de l'Environnement. Où est-il? Où est la CAQ? Manon a écrit une lettre importante au premier ministre sur le sujet. J'ai bien hâte de l'entendre, M. Charette, dans les prochains jours.
Merci. On passe à part des questions. Une question, une question?
Oui, bonjour. François Carabin, Le Devoir. Je vais commencer avec une question en français, mais j'aimerais que M. Heyman y réponde ensuite. Là, je pourrais la reposer en anglais à la limite. Madame Massé, ça a été mentionné que le ministre de l'Environnement, le ministre des Affaires autochtones ont tous deux rencontré la nation de Québec il y a un an aujourd'hui. Comment vous expliquez qu'un an plus tard, il n'y a toujours pas de position claire là, du gouvernement du Québec dans ce dossier-là.
Votre question est super pertinente, M. Carabin. Je me pose exactement la même question. Comment se fait-il, lorsqu'ils sont allés visiter, qu'ils ont discuté avec le chef Hyman, l'engagement de dire que le gouvernement du Québec reconnaît que les Premières Nations ne sont pas trop bien consultées, moi, je trouve que ça, là, c'est vraiment un plancher en termes d'engagement. Mais M. Charette avait, à ce moment-là, dit qu'il allait considérer son positionnement politique, ce n'est pas ses mots, je le paraphrase, son positionnement politique en matière du pour ou contre le projet de Dépotoir. Et 1 an plus tard, on n'a toujours pas de pour ou contre. On sait que la lettre a été envoyée à M. Guilbeault, mais on n'a toujours pas de positionnement pour ou contre. Et aujourd'hui, à Québec solidaire, on vient dire au gouvernement de la CAQ, il est grandement temps, au nom de ce consensus québécois, au nom de vos concitoyens québécois et québécoises et des gens des Premières Nations qui s'inquiètent, le principe de précaution devrait s'appliquer. Dans notre loi environnementale, il existe. Et ça voudrait dire, à cette étape-ci, de refuser le projet de Chalk River.
Chef Heyman, est-ce que vous préférez que je répète ma question en anglais?
Pardon?
Do you prefer I ask the question in English?
Yes, if you could.
So I was wondering, how do you explain that one year after meeting with Mr. Lafrenière and Mr. Charette, there still hasn't been any change of position on the part of the government of Quebec?
So I can't speak for Minister Charette or Mr. Lafrenière, but we had hoped that, you know, based on those first meetings that we had in January or February, it was good that, you know, they pushed the federal government to do a better job of consulting us. But at the same time, in those meetings, we expected that over time the provincial government would take a position on these projects, because what seems to be happening here is that when we say that the project is in Chalk River, everybody says, well, that's Ontario. You know, so why is it a concern for Quebec? Well, half of the Ottawa River is in the province of Quebec. And nuclear waste doesn't care whether it's being dumped in the Ontario or the Quebec side. So the silence that we're hearing from the provincial government, again, I don't want to be speculative, but I feel that they don't want to take a position because eventually they might have to talk about sending some of the decommissioned waste from Gentilly 1 and 2 to Chalk River to eventually be buried there. So I think, you know, the silence speaks to itself, is that, you know, this government, you know, has to worry about its own nuclear waste and what it's going to do with it, and maybe, you know, worried about coming out against a project that eventually some of the waste that will come from this province may end up being transported to the very facility that we're asking them to oppose.
Monsieur Leduc ou Madame Massé, j'aimerais juste savoir, en fait, dans le contexte actuel d'incertitude économique, on se pose beaucoup de questions aussi sur l'énergie là, au Québec. Qu'est-ce que vous pensez que ça va avoir comme impact sur ce projet-là d'enfouissement de déchets nucléaires? Est-ce que vous craignez que le gouvernement du Québec profite de l'incertitude pour donner son accord, par exemple,
pour relancer Gentilly?
Ben, donner son... bon, on peut aller là, mais sur l'ensemble de la filière nucléaire...
Okay. Là, on pourrait spéculer sur Gentilly aujourd'hui, mais c'est sûr qu'au regard de le retour surprise d'Énergie-S et de GNL Québec dans l'actualité des dernières semaines, ça serait juste une surprise de plus. Et avec le gouvernement Trump, on est de surprise en surprise, de jour en jour. Est-ce que je crains un retour de Gentilly? Pour l'instant, on n'en a pas entendu parler. Fitzgibbon avait évoqué ça à l'époque. Il n'est plus ministre. J'espère qu'on ne reviendra pas avec un débat sur le nucléaire au Québec. J'espère que c'est bel et bien enterré, ce projet-là du nucléaire. Il faut qu'on se sevre des hydrocarbures, mais pour ce faire, il faut qu'on tourne vers l'énergie verte. Il ne faut pas qu'on commence à retourner dans le nucléaire. On ferait un pas en avant pour faire deux pas en arrière si on a besoin du nucléaire pour se sevrer des hydrocarbures. Ça serait une très mauvaise idée.
Coué, Chouchane Bacon, Espace Autochtone, Radio-Canada. Lance, my question will be easy, but I would like to ask you. Nobody wants to listen to you instead of them. But why you don't want to give up?
Why don't we want to give up?
Why you don't want to give up about?
Well, again, because as we've indicated in our opposition to this project, we've been opposing this project since it was first discussed in 2015. We've put forward our concerns and preoccupations in the fact that it's not a very well thought out project. The technology that they want to use is not appropriate, and of course the site selection and the location is a really bad idea, because the nuclear dump that they're proposing, it's going to take them 50 years to fill up that dump. And in those 50 years, it's going to rain. We're going to continue to have episodes of climate change. And in this time, until they put a cover on it, all of that waste is going to leach. And then they're going to put a cover on it. In 500 years, they said that it's going to be radioactive. We don't believe them. So at the end of the day, you know, as an Indigenous person, and clearly we have a sacred responsibility, and I've been reminded it many times by the women of my community, that we need to protect the water. And so at the end of the day, that's exactly what we're doing. We're fulfilling our sacred responsibility to ensure the protection of the environment, the continuation of the biodiversity, and at the end of the day, protecting the water as we were asked to do, not only for us, but also for the future generations and the many millions of people who depend on the Ottawa River for sustenance and for water. So we're not giving up, and we're going to continue this fight because it's the most important fight that we've determined that our nation needs to take on. And if we don't do it, nobody else is going to do it, and we don't want our future generations to have to deal with a problem in 500 years. So that's why we're taking everything and the fight that we've done. And again, recognizing we're a small First Nation community in the middle of nowhere, Quebec. And we don't have a whole lot of financial resources, but yet we're going to court, engaging the best legal representatives that are available in this country to help us with our fight. Because fundamentally we believe that the protection of the environment has to be the #1 priority, because without water, none of us are going to be able to survive. So why would we risk, you know, that water supply by approving a project that has the potential? I will go even farther. It doesn't have the potential. It will, over time, contaminate the Ottawa River to a point where our water will become undrinkable. It may not be today and it may not be tomorrow, but it will happen, and we would like to make sure that we do everything we can to stop that now so it doesn't happen in the future.
And with this action, what do you hope to have?
What we hope to have is the recognition of our rights and our ability to make decisions for ourselves on how our land will be used. We also hope to see that Canada will implement in its full value the United Nations UNDRIP. Because again, Canada's professed that they would do this. And there's an article under UNDRIP 29.2 that says no nuclear waste will be deposited or stored on the territories of First Nations without their proper consent. Consent has not been given in this matter. So we want at least the decision to go back to the Canadian Nuclear Safety Commission and include the elements of UNDRIP in its analysis and its final decision. We think it'll come with a different outcome. We're in court because Canadian Nuclear Safety Commission refused to take UNDRIP into consideration. They said it wasn't a part of their responsibility. But when Canada adopts it as their law, it absolutely becomes a part of their responsibility to consider it in the decision. So we want the decision to go back and the CNSC to take in all the information, including our own self-assessment that we presented in August of 2023, that they again did not take into consideration before they rendered a decision in January of 2024 to license the nuclear safety, the nuclear waste dump project in Chalk River.
Bonjour, Savannah Epitienne. Ma question s'adresse à Manon Massé. Qu'espérez-vous accomplir en faisant une déclaration dans une affaire opposant le gouvernement fédéral à une Première Nation?
Chef Hyman vient de le nommer. On a des responsabilités comme Autochtones et l'État québécois, comme l'État canadien, a des engagements face aux droits des premiers peuples. Et ici, on a un exemple pétant que le Canada ne respecte pas la Déclaration des Nations unies pour les droits des peuples autochtones. Et donc, par conséquent, nous, ici au Québec, qui avons des responsabilités environnementales, question de compétences, on a des responsabilités environnementales, et on n'a pas pris position pour dire non à un tel projet. Il n'y a pas de consultation des Premières Nations, et le principe de précaution dans la loi environnementale devrait, sans aucune question, faire dire au gouvernement du Québec que ça n'a pas de bon sens, ce projet-là. Alors donc, c'est dans cet esprit-là qu'aujourd'hui, on est vraiment content et contente de marcher aux côtés de la Première Nation de Québec et de plusieurs Québécois et Québécoises qui exigent que leur gouvernement soit protecteur aussi de cette eau qui va nourrir les générations futures. Et je nous rappelle, là, le ministre de l'Environnement, il est ministre d'une municipalité qui s'appelle Deux-Montagnes, entre autres, et la municipalité de Deux-Montagnes a demandé à ce que le gouvernement du Québec, à ce que le gouvernement canadien retire ce projet-là. Alors, je pense qu'il y a une question de cohérence du côté de la CAQ, et pour nous, c'est important de marcher aux côtés des premiers peuples pour cette raison-là, entre autres.
Merci. Est-ce que vous pourriez répondre en anglais, s'il vous plaît, aussi?
Oh, yeah, I'll do my best. So, I do that for a long time. Yeah, for us, for Québec solidaire, it's so important to be here by side of the First Nation, Quebec, because the gouvernement du Québec have to protect the right of the First Nation. He didn't sign by himself the UNGRIP, but he's accept the principle of the de la déclaration. So you have to protect the right to be consulted. You have to protect the right of the territory, the right of the First Nation. This is the first reason. The second reason, it's the water. On the Outaouais water, Chalk River is so close to this river. The Minister of Environment, the Minister of, not the Minister, the Minister, yeah. The Minister of Environment have to protect the environment. And we know that in the environmental law, we have an article which says that if you're not sure, it's called précaution. If you're not sure, choose the precaution side. So that's why we're asking, by side of the First Nation, that the gouvernement du Québec have to say no to this project. 1 year after I've met the First Nation, it's time now to say something to the Canadian government and to rester debout face au gouvernement canadien.
Parfait, merci. En terminant, go ahead. Okay.
My question is for Chief Haymond. Do you think an alliance with provincial politicians is going to help provide Quebec with the support it needs to fend off the waste depot?
Again, I don't think it can hurt. I think it's really important that as we present our issues and the facts related to this situation, we're getting support from municipalities and really appreciative of the fact that we have political party support for our position. We think it's fundamentally key to ensuring that this government takes the issues that we're raising seriously. And so, again, at the federal level, we've had, great support from the Bloc Québécois and the Green Party. And so, having and working with provincial parties makes a lot of sense when we share the same vision and the same issues and concerns around this issue. So we're absolutely hopeful that by working with and getting support from the provincial parties, that the government will, be more inclined to sit up and listen to the messaging. Because again, we've been doing this since 2015, and we're finally starting to make inroads into getting the support that we need from federal and provincial politicians. And it's really fundamentally key, as I've expressed, because if we don't have that political support, it's really hard sometimes to get our agendas in front of politicians who ultimately can, make a decision that could help our cause. So.
Thank you. And I just have one follow-up. Do you feel uncertain about allying with parties involved in the debate about independence?
Say that again? Sorry, I missed that.
Do you feel uncertain about allying with parties involved in the debate about independence?
To a certain extent, I guess we have some reservations because of the underlying, things that they want to do. But at the same time, I think if we always got hung up on that one particular topic, then, we would be remiss in trying to get their support. So absolutely, when we talk about independence, it causes me some heartburn. But at the same time, we need to build alliances and we need to build support from all the parties. And, we're talking today about nuclear waste and its impacts and the support that we have from the party. I'm sure we'll have a different conversation down the road when we talk about potential independence and separation. But that's a different conversation for a different time. So, but at the end of the day, I think, it's a concern for us, but we really appreciate the fact that they're amplifying, an important message and our voice to make sure that, Quebecers, all Quebecers and this government understands the importance of taking a position.
Merci tout le monde.
Je voulais juste une petite précision sur la question du principe de précaution.
Oui.
Vous dites, c'est dans la loi sur la qualité de l'environnement. Est-ce qu'à vos yeux, en plus, j'aimerais soulever quand même que le conseiller de la radioprotection du ministère de la Santé a déjà émis un avis défavorable au projet. Donc, je veux juste comprendre, est-ce que, selon vous, le gouvernement est en contravention de la loi avec sa position actuelle?
Écoutez, je ne vais pas me prononcer sur est-ce qu'il est en contravention. Moi, ce que je dis, c'est principalement le nucléaire au Québec, avec tous les appuis dont on vous a parlé depuis le début, il est clair que les Québécois et Québécoises ne veulent pas mettre en jeu la rivière Outaouais avec le projet Chalk River. Alors, considérant ce consensus-là, considérant même des avis publics que je ne connaissais pas, honnêtement, moi, je suis plus dossier autochtone que dossier... mais que je ne connaissais pas, mais peu importe, considérant tout ça, je ne comprends pas que les gens qui gouvernent le Québec, donc qui sont supposés les représenter, qui ont la loi de leur côté, même si c'est face à Ottawa, ne prennent pas la position claire de ne pas appuyer ce projet-là.
Merci.